special occasions. So here we talked about this piece right here, that we have a similar piece in the gallery. So many of the weaving was passed down in the 1600s is really when it started kicking off for a while, used as clothing, as huge blankets. The patterns are very simple, and actually when you start weaving, you actually start with a simple design like this. This is actually one I made with my great-grandmother. So you actually start with stripes just all the way across because it helps you learn how to even start the rug, but also how to space your patterning as you go. So this one was a really fun one. I remember making that with her when she spent a summer here. And I won third place at Red Earth. So that was fun.
Let me see. Sorry.
Oh yes, and then there's this one.
And then this is the one that my mom made when she was about 8 or 9 years old. And this is actually traditional colors used with the dyes from plants and herbs and stuff like that. So this is kind of like a lighter color, and so this is how she made hers. And this is what you would call chinle pattern, because a lot of the people that designed these was from the chinle area, where we were talking about spider rock. And so this is one that my mom made when she was younger.
So right through, so you had these type of simple patterns in the beginning, and then right to the mid-1800s, Navajo weavers had different phases of that style as they started to evolve. But during the mid-1800s, we had what is called the Long Walk. It is very similar to the Trail of Tears, but for the Navajo people. A large group of Navajo people were captured and forced to march 300 miles from the Navajo reservation to Fort Sumner in Bosque Redondo, New Mexico. And then here we have two of our chiefs, Chief Manuelito, Chief Barboncito, who were negotiating for the Navajo people to return home. So during this time, and we mentioned it earlier, but my mother's family, we actually know, did not go on the Long Walk. Our family hid up in the mountains from the U.S. Cavalry. So families either hid deep in canyons or up on mesas, but then those that were captured were and we do know families that have families that went to Bosque Redondo, and they came back. And then here we have General James Carleton and Kit Carson. And Carleton asked Kit to go into the Navajo reservation or area and to burn their homesteads, crops, slaughter livestock, and destroy water sources of the Navajo people to try to lure them out of their land. Any that were captured were sent to Bosque Redondo. Those who resisted were killed. Of course, like I said, many hid in the mountains, canyons, and on mountains, and then mesas areas. But in June 1st, 1868, a treaty was signed by the Navajo leaders to allow them to return home. But then they had to make the 300-mile trek back home, and so many died on the way to Fort Sumner. And so that kind of stopped any type of traditional things. Everyone went into hiding. So for a couple years there, they kind of had to stop weaving. So, but after that, it seemed like there was a more interest and boom into that. They began to develop various styles and designs throughout their weaving. And this is actually a piece from our museum in Shawnee. I really like it. It's like this little grandma. Looks like she's weaving with a tree. But then from the 1800s and 1900s, many weavers began to make intricate designs, began trading again, selling at border towns to provide an income for their family. So this isn't a full list, but you have tons of these type of designs: chief blankets, crystal rugs, Tex-North bus, ganado, storm patterns, two gray hills, chinle, I think it's moki.
No.
Yep. Wide ruins, pictorial rugs, sand painting rugs, saddle blankets, idaru, yeti or yebache rugs, round rugs, and klagato.
And klagato, white ruins, two gray hills, chinle, Eastlands bus, ganado, crystal. The rugs that were more prevalent there is how these rugs were named, because they were the only places that really did those type of designs.
So those are just a short list. I'm sure there's more that we missed. Just some quick examples. So we got two gray hills, and then we have the design for an eye dazzler. We also have a style for like a saddle blanket rug. We have a chinley style. We also have one that you have in this gallery here, and it's called whirling logs. A lot of people see it and then they think, Nazi Germany. And I'm like, no, that was ours first, way before Hitler thought about his stuff. So, and it's a representation of like
It's
wind.
earth, wind, fire.
Elements, yeah.
Yeah, and earth. And if you look at the design, the Navajo started from left to right, but if you look at Nazis, the opposite. They go from right to left.
And then you have more intricate where they, weavers are mimicking or taking the sand paintings that are being used and making the images there. And then you have the Navajo Yeti or Yabache, which are a type of spiritual being, very sacred to our people. Then of course we have other styles of weaving. We have the sash belts here. This is a sash belt. I don't wear it very often because it was from high school, but it has my name on it. So we had a Navajo, has the year, and then it has salutatorian. So somebody had this made, so it's very contemporary, but you can see how people use them today and just kind of incorporate it into that style. And then of course you have like weaving of baskets. So this is the Navajo wedding basket. I actually got this for our wedding. My husband over here. We got our wedding basket here, and I will definitely probably be using this for ceremonial use in the future. So very sacred as well. And then of course we got to end with our pictures of some of my great-grandma, my mom's grandma. So here we have an image of her, of Louise Begay. Which my mom mentioned, she started at 9 years old. She created various styles of rugs. The main reason she made rugs, and it's kind of funny because you bring her in here and you tell her, oh, this is a fine art here, Grandma. This is fine art. She goes, it's just a rug. And she's like, I got to take this. I'm going to take all these. We're going to go to the trading post. And we're going to go sell these. We got to go to Albuquerque and sell them. And that's how her thinking was, but it was to support our family. They bought vehicles with them, brand new vehicles, their housing, clothes, all kinds of stuff. I've even known to see her trade livestock, other rugs, and for turquoise jewelry. She would trade other artists as well for those things. Here's another better shot of, she hated getting her picture taken, by the way. So we had to, that first one, we had to like sneak it. It's like, but she hated it. She never liked getting her picture taken. But she would sell, of course, in Gallup, Albuquerque. My mother would join her. She befriended a young German group, a German man who actually spent time with her. He tried so hard to get her to fly to Germany, but she said, I am never getting on a plane. I'm never going over there. Her home was the Navajo Reservation. The furthest east she went was Oklahoma to come see us. So that's as far as she went. Her favorite kind of patterns were the storm patterns, and any of the geometric designs.
Yeah, because this is one that she wove. And she liked these simple designs. And then also, this was another piece she done. So she loved doing these that were, her favorite colors were these, black, red.
Gray. So, but she passed away on February 17th, 2013, unfortunately from dementia and Alzheimer's. So, but what was interesting was she kept confusing me as my mom as she was younger, so she'd always call me B, which is my mom's nickname. And she always thought my mom was my grandma. So it was just, but then my husband, she remembered him perfectly fine. And she thought, oh, yeah, because she said his hair reminded her of corn tassels. He's blonde. So he just stuck out in her mind, so she never forgot who he was. He's usually, oh, hi, Josh. So I think that's all we have right there. So I'll just leave it on that one.
And this is a few other ones that they use.
Oh, yes. I had this one made when I graduated from OSU, one of my grandpas. So very contemporary designs, but then the ones that are in the gallery, they're very old. Those are very nice designs. Hard to get a hold of in that condition. And again, like more contemporary woven sash belts. There's actually, if any of you are interested, I know an artist that makes these today, and she makes purses in large bags So if you wanted something fancy to have around, she hand makes them, but she does the sash. But she also does stuff for cameras. So if you want a sash for your camera, she does it hand woven like this, but just small for your, and attaches to your camera.
And then
So
it goes different areas like this too.
and you can tell with this one, like there's a change in the color through this. So you can see where the dye, where the yarn isn't quite the same, but almost. So in some of the ones you see in here, you can see where the yarn starts to change. So that's something to kind of look for as well, because it might be a more natural yarn. And then actually here we have this one little piece. That may be the weaver's path right here, an imperfection. So you always got to add that. So I don't know if I added that on mine, because she was teaching me, so she might not have had me, and it's all the same way across, so she might have gone, oh, we'll just count that one. So we helped. So does anyone have any questions? We gave y'all a ton of info.
We hope it wasn't too confusing, or, you know, and just.
It's very in-depth. Navajo weaving is very complicated. Yes,
Do you use any fibers besides wool?
No.
just wool, I believe. And it's also up to the weaver. I've seen weavers actually make like, almost like painted images, but they just use different types of wool, or they might use different yarn materials. But most of the time it's wool that we've seen. So that's
And I
what.
think for little kids that are doing something like this, they may use this regular
Commercial.
crochet yarns or something
Oh.
like this. But mostly for a lot of the pieces that are going to gain in value, they'll use the wool.
Okay. The other thing is, it sounds like this is a relatively new art form, just since the Navajo have had sheep for a few hundred years.
Way back when, yes, when they started. Way back, I don't know,
For 1500s.
1500, yeah. Because back then, they only did something similar to this, would be blankets, so they could put it on their cattle or their horses. Cattle if they were going to use it for a wedding, and horses if they were going to go out and do trading and stuff. So it was just only for that specific maybe community. It didn't go out. It wasn't until later when people started going off to border towns to sell their art in exchange for goods or to pay for something. That's when people started finding out that these were valuable pieces that they could use later for other type of bartering or selling.
So were they used mainly for, I might say, money,
Well,
or did they use them for specific purposes, like she has clothes or
for all
horse
things,
blankets? Did the Indians use them for that? Did you?
for all of those, for clothing.
Because
They would wear these, what my daughter's wearing here, this type of clothing was worn during this time in the winter, because it keeps
Yeah.
cold air out. Or what
That's
I'm
why I'm
wearing was
wearing it
lovely
now.
for
Now summer.
Yeah, for summer. So
Hot.
they use it for that, and then they used it for saddle blankets, like I said. And then sometimes they would take it to the grocery store, the local grocery store, to buy groceries or food or other cattle or sheep. Or they would trade between, there were some families that make jewelry like this, and so they would barter between, they would give a rug for the family would turn around and give them maybe a bracelet or a belt. So that's how they used it.
I remember one fall we went out when my great-grandma was still here, and we really wanted mutton, because that's the only place we know we can get it for sure. And my great-grandma didn't have any sheep she could butcher at the time, so she actually took a couple of rugs and then ran down to a relative's house and said, hey, I have this rug and I need 2 sheep. My grandkids are visiting from Oklahoma and I need to butcher some sheep for them to feed them. And so the lady's like, okay, and then and there was 2 sheep in the back of the pickup and we pulled in, and then Grandma was like, well, let's get to butchering, and I had to help them. I butchered sheep, so I had to help them butcher, and it, like I said, it was delicious. So, so different things like that. Even I myself am an artist. I work in oil paintings and mixed media. I've actually traded paintings with other Native artists for their goods. So some of the things I've gotten were really nice, like I traded with a Navajo seamstress, beautiful wool jacket, and I traded oil painting for it. So she took it, she knew exactly what the painting was about because it was Navajo-based subject matter, and she goes, ooh, I'll take that. And then you come to my booth and we'll trade for the same value. And so that's what we did. So there was no money exchange, it was just the trading of the value of the object and the artwork. So Sundays are trade days, in case anyone wants to know at markets. Sundays are trade days.
And when I went out with my grandmother to do, when she started doing the jewelry, what we would do is the type of jewelry that we would make, we would go to the different pueblos in New Mexico, and like Hopi and Zuni as well. And then she would trade the jewelry that we make for a lot of their jewelry, their hishi beads and pottery. So we did that too, as well as with rugs.
Alright. Any other questions? You just have to process all this.
There's a lot to take in.
It is, it's a lot. Of course, if you ever want to look and maybe purchase your own rugs, because people sometimes ask me that, or jewelry, we always recommend buying directly from the artist. If you need help finding those said artists, let us know. Henry, Stephen, everyone here that works here can get a hold of us if you guys want to know how to get your own Navajo rug from a Navajo artist. That money goes directly to them. I myself being an artist, I'd rather people buy directly from me, so then they know, because if you go through Santa Fe, you go through Taos, Albuquerque, they mark that stuff up like crazy. And so you kind of want to, and only the artist will only get a portion of that. So,
So
yes.
this isn't on Amazon.
No.
No.
I do know you can find some good stuff on Goodwill and eBay. You can find some real nice stuff. We've actually found a bunch of buckskin one time that we were going to use for ceremony one time, and we're like, this is nice buckskin. And they wanted like $50 for all of it, and I was like, yeah, sure.
Antique store.
Yes,
Your
antique.
earrings.
Yeah, these are from Antique Store. My ring here is from an antique store. So some of the antique stores around here, Gallup, New Mexico is a good place, and Shipwreck. I don't know if Shipwreck has them.
Yeah, there's a couple places. In
Those have a lot lower prices, and you can actually barter a little bit with them. So that's where this necklace came from. You can put stuff on layaway there too. So if you find something you really like, you can go, yep. And you can be out of state too, and as long as you send them money, and you pay it off, they'll ship it to you. So if you want to make a trip out there and go, ooh, I like that, and then purchase it. And then some of those places are actually buying a lot from Native artists. And they mark it up, but not like they do in Santa Fe or New Mexico, or different areas in Albuquerque and stuff.
I've shopped there, I can't touch it.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yes.
Question, how do you use these in your home? Like, I mean, I don't think you'd want to put it on the floor, would you?
No, we hang them up. We just hang them up.
As a hanging or
Yeah.
over your counter?
Yeah.
Like, well, with my rug dress and these ones, I'll roll them up and put them in a case or something. So, but some of the other ones, I just kind of hang up just to remember, because I don't think I'm ever going to wear this again. But it's just, it was nice. It was something my family back home made just for me. So that's what's special about it. And then it has my name on it. So no matter where it goes, everyone will know it's mine. It has my name. Is your name on it? Yes. My name is on it.
And then for me, I hang my rugs in my home because I like to share with people as they come in and look at a lot of what I do have. So I hang them up in my house to show
And these
great
ones,
art piece.
these ones, you are welcome to come up and touch.
touch and look
And look.
and feel.
Yeah. Now you can't touch one in the galleries, or I don't know, Henry might get upset.
Touch the gallery.
Don't touch the one something else. But if you guys would like to come up, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to come up, and that's it, I think. Yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah.
allowing us.
We really appreciate it. So.
Yeah,